The next demo up is by someone who has been cooking for over 40 years, and they started mixing sous vide and barbecue about 3 years ago. He's since started the Fire and Water Facebook group, YouTube channel, and podcast to help people learn more about both sous vide and grilling. He also has a book out, which I need to add to his bio and update it. You should check that out on Amazon. And so please help me welcome my friend Darrin Wilson, owner and creator of the Fire and Water cooking brand.
Hey all, welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Channel. I'm Darrin. Today, I know I say it every time, I'm going to do something different, but this one is actually different. I've seen some other things like it out there, but I got some ideas from some other friends of mine, but I'm going to do something I've never seen it done this way before, but I'm going to make what I call sous vide smoked blue cheese slaw. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this full-size cabbage here. We're going to open it up a little bit, sous vide it for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then we're going to smoke it with some blue cheese and some other seasonings. So I'll be right back and we'll get into this thing right now. I've seen this something similar to this before by a friend of mine, Eric Gephardt, who's the chef for Kamado Joe, and I've seen him open up a cabbage and stuff it with like I think beef cheeks or something like that, but usually he opened it up and just put a bunch of garlic inside of it and smoked it, and then at the end mixed it in with some smoked beef cheeks. Well, I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to open this up. We're going to put some butter and seasonings in there, let it sous vide and soften up some. Then we're going to take it out of the sous vide bag, put it on the smoker with some blue cheese. I think we're just going to use some really chunky blue cheese dressing to let that kind of permeate and smoke it. And then we're going to take it out of the smoker, chop it up for some nice slaw for a side for dinner tonight. So hopefully it won't take too long. I'm going to get I got the sous vide already up. Vegetables take, a higher temperature, so we're going to sous vide this about 185 degrees for about maybe 2 hours or so. So we'll see how it gets done from there. Then we're going to just toss it on the smoker with some blue cheese and see how it turns out. So I'm going to get working on this. Let me go ahead and start trimming up these leaves. And literally all I'm going to do is kind of cut the core out. So I don't want to bore you guys. I'm just going to kind of cut around there and get the core out, and without making this thing fall apart. I might flatten out the bottom a little bit so I can have it sit up, but I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm done with my cabbage. I'm just going to kind of show you how it turned out here. I'll give you a closer up so you can see. All I really did is I kind of cut around and cored it out and just kind of twisted my knife in there to make a nice deep well. And then I trimmed the bottom just enough to make it so it'll stand up on its own. And what we're going to do, not going to add any of this back in, but these outer leaves, the bigger outer leaves, I'm going to use these to kind of cover it back up to kind of make like a covering, and then we're going to stick it in the vacuum bag. So now what I'm using for seasoning, I use the Fresh Jack's mesquite lime sea salt, and I used about a tablespoon of that. Fresh Jack's garlic herb seasoning, which there's no salt in this, so the salt from the mesquite lime is going to work really well. And then some citrus pepper blend, which I think has a little bit of salt in it, not a lot, but it's got the peppery and citrus flavors that I really like. About a tablespoon of each of these, and then about a half a stick of butter, and it's kind of softened, so I'm going to go ahead and mix these seasonings in with the butter. And what this is going to do, it's going to season. When this butter melts when it's in the sous vide, it's going to season all the leaves of the cabbage kind of inside of it here. Now you can use a little bit more butter if you need to, which I might need to do just a little bit more than a half a stick. So maybe 2/3 of a stick. And then mix it all up with the seasoning. And then we're going to put it in the well here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more to this after I get off a camera here. So just know about 2/3 of a stick. You could use the whole stick depending on the size of your cabbage. I mean, if you got a really big cabbage with a really big cavity that you made, you just go ahead and and fill it up with a whole stick. But I'm going to go grab some more with a little bit more of the seasoning. We're going to stick it in, and then I'm going to show you how I bag it up. I'll be back. Like I said, I've already got my sous vide going to 185 degrees. And I'm going to go ahead and just show you. I'm going to take these outer leaves. I'm not going to do all of them, but I'm just going to kind of put them on the outside here. Kind of put them back on as kind of like a cover. Try to hold some of that butter and seasoning in so it doesn't roll around, even though we're going to be in sous vide and it shouldn't. Just like that. I'm using my expandable vacuum sealer bag just because it's a bigger vegetable and I didn't know if it would fit in a regular bag. So that's it. I'm going to secure this up and we're going to stick it in the sous vide for about, well, right close to 2 hours. So I'm going to see how that works. Again, that's it. I'm going to go vacuum seal it up. I already got the bath going inside. We're going to put it in the my Innova Pro container. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, you can see it's already got it vacuum sealed up, really tight, worked really well. One of the things you got to remember with vegetables, especially something like this, a big head of cabbage, it will float. So you need to have something to hold it down underneath the water. So we're going to do that. This is already at 185, so that's great for vegetables. And we should be done just at 2 hours. So let me get this in, get it all set up, and I'll see you in 2 hours. And put it on the smoker. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, about 15 minutes before it's done in the sous vide, you want to make sure you get your smoker up and going. I got my pellet grill set at about 250 on the higher smoke setting. If you're using any other smoker, just make sure you're on 250 with some good smoke. You want good penetration. And that's about it. We'll see you when it's ready to go on. All right, guys, I got my smoker almost up to temp, and I pulled this out of the bag. It was really easy. It was only in there maybe an hour and 15-20 minutes. So you really don't need too long. And the only reason I'm sous videing it, so I want to get it cooked all the way through. I don't want it to be really super smoky. So I'm only going to put it on the smoker for maybe 20 minutes or so. It's pretty wet, so it's going to attract a lot of smoke. Get me some of that color. The butter is fully melted in there, and I can see the seasonings, but I'm going to put a little bit more, maybe a teaspoon or so of each. The garlic herb, citrus pepper, and mesquite lime salt. And I'm mixing that with just some Ken's chunky blue cheese. You can use Marie's, you can use just full blue cheese if you want. Since this is I'm going to make it kind of like a coleslaw, I wanted this like a dressing. So I'm going to put that right in the middle here. Some of that butter is going to roll out and be replaced. I'm going to put that back in there, put the tops back on here, and I'll probably add just a little bit more. What we're going to do with this after it comes off the smoker, we're going to chop it up, put it in a bowl, and that's how we're going to serve it. Let me get it on the smoker so we can get some smoke to it and see how this turns out. So far, it's looking pretty good. All right, I'll be back. All right, guys, I'm going to get ready to put this on the smoker. I'm putting it on a rack on a pan so that it doesn't roll around, and then it gets good penetration all the way around. 15-20 minutes is fine. All right, guys. Well, I took it off. I think it's done. See, the lettuce is wilted a little bit here, or the cabbage, I should say. Got some juices coming out the bottom, and all you're really going to do is we're just going to chop this up. Really not we're looking for much of an internal temperature here. You know, we cooked it for a little over an hour and 20 minutes or so in the sous vide at 185. It didn't quite get that all the way into the core, which is, I want this to be kind of a coleslaw, so I don't really want it to be really soggy. I just wanted to get some cook to it and get some heat to it, and we're gonna chop this up, see how it turned out. And look at that. You can see that that's a nice picture right there. You can tell some of that butter and seasoning got in there. So all I'm really going to do is I'm just going to chop this up and I'm going to toss it in my bowl. And that's what we're going to have for our side today. I'm going to add a little bit more of the blue cheese dressing. right, I'm gonna take some of this right here. I'm gonna put some more of that sauce in, mix that up in with it here. Then I'm gonna take a little bit, take this core here, add a little bit more of the sauce. Yeah, seasoning is really good. Blue cheese really got a nice punch to it. A taste of garlic, and salt and pepper and the seasonings. It's actually a really good side dish. I'm gonna have to do this more often. Wow. Take a little bit more of this blue cheese dressing. Just kind of mix it in. That's it. Just gonna toss it. And there you go. Sous vide smoked slaw. It's a thing, guys. It's actually very good. Make sure you check it out, try it out. Something new and different. All right, all. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you like more recipes like this, you can check out my book, Fire and Water Cooking, on Amazon or my website, fireandwatercooking.com. Thanks for joining the International Sous Vide Association Meatless Sous Vide Showcase. I'll see you at the next one.
I love that concept of sous videing it and then finishing cabbage on the grill with some of that blue cheese and the butter. And that looks like an amazing coleslaw. I'm going to have to try that out. Now that it's warm enough, I might have to do it in the coming few weeks. I have some cabbage in the fridge that has been has been calling my name for a while. If you like Darrin's video, please give him some love in the comments. Otherwise, he will pull that cleaver out and you don't want to see an angry Darrin. And he is also here with us today to answer some questions. So he's going to be joining me up on stage right now. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us.
I got it working. Can you hear me?
I can indeed. I was going to be so sad. The whole reason I was excited for the showcase was to talk to you face to face.
Yeah, right. Now, for some reason, I had it set up before to, because I'd been on before, but for some reason my settings got changed, and I guess you got to go to the little lock on the side. It took me about 5 minutes to figure out how to turn all the settings back on. So I'm here. So forget about that rice dish. I'm on keto, so I can't eat rice.
But rice is so good, Darrin. Why would you not want to eat rice? It's so yummy and
so tempting. Right, rice. That's what I miss: rice and potatoes and bread. French fries and mashed potatoes with butter and great. You're making me hungry.
Well, I apologize. So that recipe was from your cookbook. What was the most enjoyable dish you made for your book?
Probably the pig wings. I think that one was something totally different that people kind of go, I've never heard of it before, or I've never seen it before, and it really turned out really good. The reason I did that slaw is I had a sponsor or co-sponsor of my book. It was a seasoning company called Fresh Jack's Seasonings out of Jacksonville, Florida, and all their seasonings are organic, and there's no no GMOs or anything like that. They're really they have a lot of things that offer for vegans, like tofu stuff, and so they said they'll help sponsor my book, but they want me to do a few vegetable dishes or vegan type friendly dishes. And I said, okay, I have no problem doing it. It's really easy to do. I didn't say do half the book. They just said do 4 or 5 recipes, and I had kind of seen some other people that I know do something similar with cabbage, just on the smoker or another way. And I said, well, vegetables are really easy to cook sous vide to get to that perfect temperature, and then you can take them out and then get a little smoke on them just like you would meat, and then create something like this. So I figured it would be something that probably nobody's ever going to see anywhere else. So it'd be totally different, and it turned out really well. So I went into it going, well, if it doesn't turn out good, I'll figure out something else. But it turned out really good, and my family loved it, and I'll probably make it at least 2 or 3 times a year just to have it. and to me, that particular thing, you can do so much with it. Like somebody had said, if you put bacon in it or something, you can put all kinds of things. You can put mushrooms. You can change up the seasonings. You can change up the different dressings or whatever you want to put in it. There's so many things you can do with it that it really turned out good. And it's something, if you have guests coming over, you can make it for them and they'll go, I've never had anything like that before. So
I do like your tone while you're doing the video. It starts off like almost like wondering and could like, I wonder if this is gonna be any good. And by the end, you're like, I think this is gonna work. And then you're like, you taste it, you're like, oh yeah,
pretty good.
this is good.
Yeah, and that's how I do a lot of my stuff. I'll shoot the whole video, and at the end, if it doesn't turn out well, I just scrap the whole video. So a lot of times my videos start out like this. I'm gonna try it, but we'll see what happens in the end. So
and if it turns out really bad, you can share it and people can learn from what seemed to make sense, and then ends up, we've all had those. We're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great, and you get done, you're like, yeah, that was not not what I was expecting.
Yep, and I'd have a couple of videos up that I left up just that said, don't do this. So, sometimes people try things that on paper they make sense, but when you put them into action, they go, this really didn't work out too well. So, and a lot of times it's your family that tells you that. They go, oh, this didn't work out. You're like, I think it's good.
Yeah, sometimes I'll get the opposite, that it works out well, but it's nothing like what I had envisioned. Jody would be like, oh, this is really good. I'm like, yeah, but it's not. I was trying to do this, and it wound up as something completely different. That it was a complete failure for what I was attempting, but it still tasted good.
Well, and, like a lot of people, I don't cook a lot of vegetables sous vide, but, when I do, I remember why it works so well, because especially like with asparagus or something like that, where you can hit that perfect texture that you want using the sous vide, and then you don't have to worry about overcooking it, over steaming it or anything like that. And it's got the perfect crisp and the perfect doneness, and you can go, wow, I should do this more often. And but I think if you don't have multiple sous vide, because you got to cook vegetables at a higher temperature, 185 plus usually for it to work. And if you don't have multiple sous vide circulators sitting around, or you don't have the stuff to do it with, it's hard to do, because you don't want to take your steaks out and then wait 20 minutes for the water to heat up to 185 to cook your vegetables usually. So
Mike said, what recipe in your book took the longest to get right?
Probably the black bean burger that I did. Because you got to kind of get the texture down right on that one, because they can get too crumbly, they can be too wet. So, I actually did that one a couple different times to try to get down and all that. It wasn't the doneness you have to worry about, but it's more the texture and how it holds together and feels in your mouth and all that. So, but a lot of the other stuff I'd done. I mean, I took, with the book, a lot of the stuff I did, it was from videos I'd already done, or, recipes I've already put together. So they were something tried and true that I've done many times before. But some of the vegetable ones were hardest because I hadn't done some of those before. I had to kind of go, okay, what should I do? Let me think of something that's different, because I didn't want to redo the same thing other people had done, over the years. So
we're looking forward to having you speak at the new thing we're doing for the virtual summit coming up, the 5 minutes per person with the ISVA community experts videos. Do you have any idea what knowledge bombs you're going to drop during your 5 minutes of glory during that session?
Not yet. I haven't started putting it together yet. I don't know, because I've got a lot, some of my videos and stuff, and some of the things that people are asking me is more about vacuum sealers and stuff lately. So I don't know, because there seems to be a lot more cheaper chamber sealers, or better channel vacuums coming out that have more options, better quality. Then there's a lot more cheaper stuff out there. So people are buying vacuum sealers a lot more, and I get a lot of questions on those. I get a lot of people, asking me all kinds of questions and wanting to know about why a chamber sealer is better than a channel sealer. What can they do? What else can you do with it besides saving, for food or using it for sous vide? So I might touch on something like that. Another thing I like talking about is the way technology has, really driven the way we cook now, both indoors and outdoors. Because whenever on my podcast, whenever I have a guest on, whether it's somebody we're talking sous vide or indoor cooking or outdoor cooking, technology is a big conversation, because it just, every time you turn around, there's something new, whether it's a new grill or a new circulator or a new gadget or something, or a new way to do things. So might be something about technology as well.
Well, awesome, Darrin. Thank you for coming on. If you all want more from Darrin, which I know you do, check out Fire and Water cooking.com. Search for Fire and Water on your favorite podcast platform. Check him out on Facebook in the Fire and Water cooking group, and all other Fire and Water places that you could possibly consume content. Darrin is there with great stuff that you definitely need to check out.